I doubted to even move a single step closer, but my curiosity about this concept I had never even dreamt about before was there. It was really there. I was so curious. It felt so weird. My entire body felt so immensely strong, but I felt as though I had never been this tired. My legs started to tremble more and more. My legs seemed in pain. It was then that he yelled, "Come down! You can't stand there for long!" So I started walking. There was a little ladder into the water on the side of the boat, and as I approached it, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. My mind was fogged. What I had to do in this situation had no logic to it, but my entire body knew that it was just the thing that I had to do. I jumped onto the waves. Yes, onto. I didn't fall through the surface of the water. Instead, I just stood there, next to Jack, who looked at me. He had a lot to explain. Jack smiled. His lips looked as if they had been exhausted and destroyed by the salty sea for many years. It was then that Jack told me about the story of the Seawalkers, or as much as he knew. Okay, so basically Seawalkers are humans, faced to walk the oceans endlessly. They cannot be on land for longer than a few minutes as their bodies will collapse. Jack told me that it had been caused by a curse. A very, very old curse cast upon us. Seawalkers were pretty much immortal. They didn't have a way of really dying. But the pain that they experienced was worse than human pain. Jack also told me that there was one way to get out of the curse, being so that you would have to force the curse onto someone else, after which you would have to find any shore and walk onto the shore. That would cause you to regain your regular life, to stop the curse. I now knew that Jack had forced the curse onto me, which I assumed meant that he wanted to get rid of the curse. "Jack, how long have you been wandering the seas now?" I asked. He replied, "Well, my man, I boarded my ship in 1867, and it must have been not more than 3 months after we left that I became cursed, when our ship was destroyed. You see, it must have been a long time ago, but I decided to keep the curse for myself, wandering the seas forever, but harming no one else. Also, I was born to love the sea. Despite that, I have gotten my share of the sea more than enough now. When I looked into your eyes during the storm, I saw a man not ready to die in his last few moments. I forced the curse onto you to save you. You can understand that I just stood there. I mean, too much had just happened, and it was incredibly difficult to calm myself down. I mean, yeah, I had been raised with the mentality to always solve problems at hand, and this was the first time I was not able to handle the situation before me. I had lived a simple life so far. None of this made any sense. Come on, I didn't believe in stuff like this. What is all this, I thought. I became mad with the man before me. I mean, how dare someone spout such nonsense to me? As if he had read my mind, he said, "Look at yourself. You are the living proof that this all is true. I suggested that we should take the boat to shore, to give Jack back his life on shore." Jack laughed and replied, "With what boat?" I looked behind me, but while all this talking had happened, the boat had drifted off and was now a small dot on the horizon. It was really far away. It was then we decided on walking, like we had to. I have to tell you, we walked the goddamn ocean for months and months. Our bodies could not get tired at all, so we walked day and night. No food was needed for our bodies, Yet this feeling of hunger ate at me from my insides. I had gotten to know Jack quite well this time. You could say we became friends. We talked about our past lives, about food, anything there is to discuss, we must have mentioned then, wandering the oceans. After what I had counted as 200 sunrises, we finally found land. Not just any shore this was. We saw docks, we saw towers, a city, right in front of us. It was now that we were almost there that Jack finally told me about the curse. He told me more than he had done before. You know, my man, either of us can enter the shore and live the life of a normal man. It's not just me who can escape the curse. You have an equal chance at living as I do. I told him that I had made the choice to let him enter the shore already, leaving me on the seas. Friends was really what we had become, and I had already accepted the fate of living like this for a long time. Weirdly enough, he declined. The man had already walked the seas for so long. He did not mind doing the same thing for a while longer. He told me I deserved to live as a regular person more than he did. He explained that he would no longer even be able to live a life in this world, as everything had changed so much ever since he started walking the seas. I told him I understood. I told him that I would accept going on land myself and let him wander the seas alone once more. He smiled. He agreed to accompany me to the shore. We stood on the water for the last time together and said our goodbyes. I thanked him once more for saving my life, and again he smiled. And then I betrayed him. Instead of jumping onto the land myself and regaining my old life, I pushed him. I pushed him onto the shore. He fell in the sand, face first onto the beach. He pushed himself up while looking behind him, looking me straight in the eyes, furious. He said, "You fool." Suddenly, his skin started to wrinkle, more than the seas had done to him so far. His eyes went black, pitch black. He shriveled up like a time lapse of a corpse over multiple ages. His body turned into a skeleton. He aged hundreds of years in just seconds, right before my eyes. I realized the mistake. The body did not age during the curse, but returning to a normal human meant that the years would stack up and suddenly hit your body. I panicked. My previous calmness and faith in what I was doing, it disappeared. I killed Jack. I killed Jack. I panicked and I screamed. I fell down on my knees in the waves, crashing onto the shore. Another man ran towards me. He must have heard my screams. My heart was pounding. Suddenly, I felt like evil. I had killed a man. How much worse could it be? This curse was my worst nightmare. Rather than saving my life, it had cost me everything. I was furious. I grabbed the man on the shore as I remembered how to put the curse onto someone else. One was to bite the person in the neck as soon as the heart had stopped beating, but the body was still intact enough to live. I forced the man into the waves, holding his arm behind his back. Looking back on it now, I consider myself a monster. This right here is the biggest regret in my life. At that moment, I was thinking quite differently. I had thrown away my chance of life, killing Jack in the process. I wanted something different. I wanted a new chance. I pushed the man's face into the bottom of the waves, making him suffocate. He was waving his arms, trying to get out, push me off him. I heard him screaming into the seabed, yelling. I held him firmly. The man died there, in my arms. I noticed his muscles relaxing, his body calming. Through the salt seawater, I did bite him, piercing the flesh in his neck. I noticed his pulse had begun again. His heart had started beating. His body quickly just floated to the surface, above the surface of the ocean, while I stumbled as the steady surface beneath my feet had suddenly turned into water again. I fell into the sea. Hunger overcame me, pain, everywhere pain, thirst, exhausting thirst. I discovered myself laying in a hospital bed. Suddenly, people I did not know in doctor's clothing stood around me, looked at me, staring at me. "You woke up," one of them said. And that is exactly the way I remember it going. That is the reason that I won't go to the sea anymore. I fear for everything. I'm ashamed of myself. I killed 2 men. The last one I turned into a Seawalker, one without any knowledge of what it is, how it works. He's probably doomed to wander the seas forever because of me. I have killed a man and put another in hell. I don't deserve this life, but I continue, every day being reminded of the past. I used to love life, now I hate it. All I try to do now is make people happy. I try to do so much good that I can forgive myself, eventually. I know that will never happen, but I just have to keep going.